Look who we have here, baby. We have the man of the hour from the TV hit show, or the hit TV show, I said it backwards, SEAL Team actor AJ Buckley in the house. Look at you, my man. What's happening?
How are you, brother? Good to see you.
So good to see you. You know, AJ, before we talk about SEAL Team, I want to know,
Mhm.
at what age did you tell your parents while you were living in Canada, I'm moving to
Uh-huh.
Hollywood?
It was kind of. I think because I first told my parents I wanted to be an actor when I was like 5 years old. After seeing, I'm originally from Dublin, Ireland,
Mm-hmm.
and after seeing a play, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, in Dublin when I was 5, and I was just blown away by the sound of the laughter in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Every time this one of the Seven Dwarfs would make a joke, the laughter would erupt, and it was like this tingling in my ear. So I kept looking around, and I asked my mom and dad what they were, and they're like, "Oh, those are actors." And I'm like, "Well, that's what I would want to be." So they already knew that I had this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't just like let me give this a go. I was kind of, I'd known at a very young age, and that's all only thing that I wanted to do. So the when I was 17, I booked a role in a movie called Disturbing Behavior, and it was just Nick Stahl and James Marsden and Katie Holmes, and David Nutter was directing it. And for those of you who don't know David Nutter, he's now become one of the biggest television directors. He directed for Game of Thrones. He did like The Red Wedding and the finale of. He's one of the top guys. He's done like 26 pilots, and 25 of them have gone. So he's a incredible director. So I was young, really young, and he called my parents and said, "Hey, your son's testing." Well, he called me first and said, "Hey, you're testing really high. You should come down." I'm like, "Well, I'm only 17." He's like, "Well, let me talk to your parents." So, and my parents had gotten to know him and his wife and his family during filming. And he's like, "Look, I really recommend that he comes down for the premiere of this, and I can help him get an agent and a manager and stuff. But there's a real opportunity for him here." So I once they kind of knew that there was some down there, like if he wants to stay with us or whatever it is, we'll both him and his wife were like, we'll help him out. So I ended up going down there, and it was one of those things. I was like, okay. I'll be there. I was like, I'll go for like a month or so and see what happens. And back then it was so different too. It was like you were sending VHS tapes, and remember it was like and it had to be somewhere by the next day. But if you missed the FedEx deadline, then you were screwed. And
yeah,
it was crazy time.
Had to buy a lot of stamps right back then, right? You got to buy a lot of stamps.
Oh yeah, a lot of stamps, and oh god, it was so stressful. And then even remember cutting your auditions on tape? It was just like there was no like, oh, it was just if you screwed up one thing, it'd start all over again.
Brand new, right?
Yeah, it's so. But yeah, then I went down and ended up getting an agent and a manager, which is I realize even more so now how difficult that was and how lucky I was at the time. But I was really kind of clueless in a sense, and maybe that was the best thing too, because I was so free with everything. I wasn't in my head. I wasn't in my own way. I was just excited, and everything was bright and colorful. And the very first audition I went in, that this agent had sent me to, I booked, and I said I didn't have my papers and all sort of stuff. So my parents were like, "Okay, well, I think it's gonna be. I think you're gonna be okay." No, my parents said no. Like, just because I booked one job didn't mean shit. But
right.
It was like it was like, but I was like, okay, and then ended up staying, and I was 18. I had my 18th birthday in Los Angeles, and then it's so funny. I had my 18th birthday in Los Angeles, and then I'd flown home for my 21st birthday. So it was different because up in Canada, depending where you are, you can go to the bar at 18.
Okay.
So smart Canadians.
I know you were there. Go ahead.
Of course, I'm Irish. I grew up in a bar. No joke. This is a true story. My mother used to put Guinness in our oatmeal. Like the oatmeal back in Ireland, or sorry, the Guinness back in Ireland would be delivered with the milk,
Hmm.
and the doctors would say, just splash some Guinness in their oatmeal for vitamins to give them iron and whatnot. So my mom, we used to pour Guinness in our oatmeal that
Oh, okay.
and we eat it every morning.
Oh my God.
And then if you could, oh yeah, and then you'd basically every other night you were down at the pub with the parents, like your kids would just be sitting on your lap and people would be playing music and dancing, and so that's just the Irish, you know.
Yeah, that's not AJ. When did you start sleeping in your car? When were you out of expenses?
uh, so it was kind of crazy because I came down, I went on a bit of a hot streak, and I don't know if that was the best thing for me, but in hindsight, it was because of these particular events. I'd gotten there and I got a little comfortable
Hmm.
at a young age. I was probably 23, 24, and I just wasn't putting in the effort. Started hanging out with the wrong crowd. I had this idea who I thought I was. I didn't grow up with money at all. Uh, and all of a sudden I had a little bit of money, but I didn't understand taxes or shit that you had to like, it's not really what you're making. Uh, so I was partying and drinking and doing stupid shit. And I just, I hit this where I wasn't young enough to play high school anymore, but I wasn't old enough to play like a cop or a detective. I was in this weird in between thing,
Hmm.
but I didn't get it yet. So I was not focused. And I started, sort of realizing I was running out of funds, but I'm like, I'll book another job. And just hanging around with just the wrong people, seeing the sun come up too many times and being like,
Damn.
and be like, okay, what the fuck? And
Pull an all nighter.
uh, yeah, yeah. And then I realized, I was like, okay, my parents were like, look, you're low on cash, and my parents, certain friends, I'd be like, hey, they loan me money here, though there, but I wasn't taking responsibility of what the loan was. I was like, oh yeah, it's like I felt like there was a safety net there, and then I kind of had this come to Jesus moment where I just started feeling really shitty about myself about just always taking and then not putting the work in. People are investing in me, and I wasn't actually being true to who I was, who they believed what they saw in me, and I was in a sense disrespecting them by pretending to be this other person to other people that didn't give a shit about me,
Right.
and which is really easy in Los Angeles. Everybody likes to pretend
Oh yeah.
and be fake and bullshit, and it's a weird game that people play, and you have to play it in some sense, but as long as you don't lose a sense of who you are. So I kind of just I was in my car, um, and my parents were like, "Look, just come home for a bit, take a break, and go back down." But I was almost gonna go, and I had this conversation with myself in the mirror, in my rearview mirror. I was like, "Look, do I want to go home and get a 9 to 5 right now, and go home and 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 not feel proud about why I'm going home, because I know the reasons why. It wasn't because I had put everything into it and I went home. Two different reasons. When you put everything into it, you're like, oh, I'll go home, take a break. But when you kind of fucking been a jackass and you haven't put 100% into what you're doing, you feel a little like you're going home with your tail between your legs,
So the
because
right. So pretty much, AJ, you don't want to say I should have, could have later on in life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was like, you know what? I know the last couple of years, I kind of fucked up a little bit, and I don't want to go home and lie to these people why, it's just tough. Like so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to take another dollar from another person. The next dollar that comes in my bank account is going to be what I earned, and whatever journey that takes me on, I'm gonna figure it out. And I called my parents and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. My mom was like, please, God, don't do this. And like, and I said, she's like, what are you going to say? I told her like I was staying at somebody's place. And I had options, I would crash here and there, different places, but predominantly I was sleeping in my car. I had my suitcase in the back of the car. I had, a couple $1,000 in my bank account for the next couple months. And, I started working under table jobs here and there, cash, but the money started getting lower and lower. And for about a year plus, I lived in my car.
So you tell
I
me
don't know if
a whole year, AJ, you stayed?
a whole year. There was a guy. I remember working at the 24-hour fitness over by the ArcLight there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Hollywood Book.
I don't know if it's still, yeah. So the guy knew me at the front, but I just would wave at him and he would buzz me in. So I was waiting for the day for him to say, "Hey, you got to swipe your card." He would just buzz me in. I'd see him every day. So I would go there. I could shower at the gym, and I had friends who were like, "Hey, you crash here, that," but I wouldn't. I literally wouldn't. I was like, I refuse to take this. One of my good buddies, Ethan Erickson, who's now the godfather of my daughter, he would show he knew I was going through, and he would like fucking bring me groceries or whatever. But he saw the determination that I had, and that I kind of like flipped the page a little bit, because he was a big inspiration of you've got a talent and you shit on it and you got to fix it, and you got to not restore the faith in anybody else but just yourself that you can do this. And so I just got really hungry again and got really focused, and then I had $32.95 left in my bank account, and I was really fucking stressed, and I got in the call that I was up for a reoccurring role on CSI New York. No, I had a guest. I was about to book a guest star on CSI Miami, and at the time you couldn't do two CSIs at once.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd worked with the showrunner Pam Vese on The District before, and she remembered me, and she put me on a short list for lab techs on CSI New York. And when they found out that I was testing, or when I was up for or was going to take the guest star in Miami, oh, look at you, look at bam, Eddie Mount, bang.
You know,
Hey.
who's the man? AJ, tell me who's the man, baby. Who's the man, AJ? Talk to me, baby.
Chappelle.
Yeah, I gotta before.
Should I talk about my porn pictures that are online? Will those pop up?
Oh, they got that online? What? TMZ grabbed them?
Yeah. But so long story short, where was I?
So you got the CSI New York.
Oh yeah, so CSI, and I turned down the guest star on Miami, and it was a possible reoccurring. And it was a crazy thing ever, because there was an episode. They're like, we're just going to write them into an episode that's already filming, just to test. So it was a scene that they just added, and the scene was with Gary Sinise, and I had to say a word. I think the word was called Aspergillus Guadalupe Charutudu. That's
what?
the word.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
How long did you work on that?
The crazy part is I'm horribly dyslexic. It's to this day, it's next for me impossible to sit down and read something. I have to have it read to me or hear it. Like memorizing lines or reading scripts, I have to actually hear it before it sinks in. Books, it's all books on tape. Thank God for books on tape. It would save my life. So anyways, I show up, I'm shitting my pants, because I know what this means. I know all the Pams there and a bunch of other executives come down, I'm going to the scene, but I'm fumbling over my lines. I'm literally like going blah blah, but I'm sticking to it. I'm just kind of fumbling. I don't stop, and I'm like, I hit a couple beakers over in the lab, and I'm picking them up, and I'm sweating like crazy. And the director goes, cut. It was Rob Bailey. This director, Rob Bailey, he goes, uncut. I just had this English director. When I was saying that, I was like, oh God. I go over to the chair, and the showrunner Pam's like, I love the choices you're making this sort of nervous, bumbling kind of character. She goes, that's a brilliant choice. And I was like,
that wasn't the choice.
Yeah. No, I was like, I was like, yeah. I just thought he'd be funny. And she's like, keep doing it. She goes, we're going to write another scene after this later in the day. Can you stick around? I'm like, yeah. She goes, but keep doing it. I'm like, okay, I will, because I'm shitting my pants. And obviously no one had no clue that I was living out of my car. And then I did that, found out before I left, like, hey, we're going to have you come back for another couple episodes over next week or so. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then by like the fourth or fifth episodes, which brought to the end of season 2, I signed like a 7-year contract with CBS.
AJ,
yeah, it was awesome.
Tell me, how did that? Hold on, give me that feeling, man. That's like getting called up to the
Uh,
big leagues and staying in the big leagues for 7 years, man.
yeah, no, no, it was a really cool experience. It was a cool because I remember, you know, just how good I felt inside, but like how proud my parents were, and it was sort of like I knew that if I made the decision within myself to commit, and you know, yeah, had heard this quote. It says, uh, uh, "Fail to try, but don't try to." What is it? Fail to try, but don't fail. Fail to try, but forget. But I remember hearing it being like, "That makes sense."
I get where you're coming
Right?
from. I hear.
Yeah, don't fail to try. You know, always try to like it's was something like that. But it's this, and it was like it's like it doesn't matter. You gotta like you always it's worse if you don't try.
Right.
You know,
But then you
and
never
it's
know.
okay. Yeah, and if you try and you fail, yeah, if you try to fail, but don't fail to try. That's something like that. But I was like, and that's what it was. You gotta, and he's putting in the work and just getting in the right headspace. And and it was really cool to. I remember like then getting my first apartment, like mine, and like signing my first lease, and like so funny. I got this, and I was retarded. I went from like living out of the car to like getting this. At the time, it was expensive, but it's like nothing now. But like it was like this, like like one bedroom, but it had like this like pool right outside the thing in the Hollywood Hills. I'm like, I fucking made this is great. And before I get a couch, before I get fucking plates or anything, I get a pool table. I'm like, I'm like, I just get a pool table. I always wanted to own a pool table. And like literally, I went in and was like, so my mom's like, let me see the place. What have you got? And I'm like, and the pool table was being set up. She's like, where's your couch? I'm like, haven't got it yet. She's like, where's your bed? I haven't got it yet. I'm like, where's your cups? I'm like, got paper plates. She's like, you got a pool table? I was like, yeah, look how nice it is. It was like that. It was the very first thing that I got. And for the long, like, because then it like, and then I just, yeah, it just took for the other stuff to get there. But the pool table was great. Like, it was like, I people over, and just an empty, how many times, we go over to, when we're coming up, we go over to people's houses and we're all struggling. And like, there'd be like a couch, like
Yeah.
a blow up something, a mattress, and like a tiny little TV and like some ramen noodles. Like, so, but it's, it's all part of the, but there isn't a better thing that could have happened to me at that time in my life, because it made me kind of really put in perspective how much I wanted it, how much I had to say, okay, this is, and the other part too was I had to be okay with, I think this was a real turning point for me too when things started changing. Where I could look when people are like, hey, how you doing? Like, how are things going? And I could say I'm broke, I'd be okay with it. Like, instead of pretending that
Right.
I was like, I was killing it, I'd be like, I'm like, I'm broke, but I'm happy. I'm chasing my dream. I'm doing what I love, and got my health, got my family, got my friends. So it was a real like, as soon as I could say that out loud and not feel ashamed, because it was like, that's all temporary stuff. That's just like you're putting the work in. The richness I feel always comes from going after, like, who gets to chase their dream, go after it every single day.
Right.
Like that's unheard of, and be fearless after it and chase it harder than like that's the wealth. And the wealth also too is these great people that I had around me that were cheering me on. They were also going through the same struggle that were also, but we kind of were of of the same cloth. We were inspiring each other. Every time someone got a gig, we're like, yes. And
Yeah.
if there was a role, if there was another role in there, we'd make sure one of our friends got in on it. Like, we were all of us. So there was this group of guys, that were all kind of coming, like, Nick, who was on your show.
Mhm.
Nick was one of those guys.
I love Gun.
Max,
Yeah.
Max Greenfield.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, like all those, like, those were all the cats that we'd see, but like, and just the way that they've all, we've all sort of turned out, just nothing is changed, other than I've got kids. Like, the work ethic is still there, the same group of people,
Hmm.
and it's about keeping that same group, You know, it's about keeping that same group you come up with. Of course, you get new friends and new things along the way, but it's that core group of people that, like, I haven't seen you in a minute, but as soon as we talk, it's like, you know,
We're tight.
like we've all, because we all share an experience of we work our asses off. You get up out of bed,
Hmm.
you do a little bit better than you did the day before,
Right.
and that's all you can do.
Yeah. You know, Nick is such a great guy, Gonzalez, man. I love him, man.
He's the best.
The best.
The best.
And he said, you know, I just texted him earlier today, and I was like, yo, give me a scouting report about AJ. Any classic stories? Let him tell you the stories.
we've had many. We've had
Exactly. Many. And we'll get to
Yeah.
that Vegas part, but hold on a minute. The good part, mate. So, AJ, 168 episodes on CSI New York. Man, that must have felt great. So now, talk to me about SEAL Team. Did you have to audition for that, or did CBS offer you the part?
It was a mix of both. Well, there was another sort of wave into this thing that I'll before I get to the SEAL Team thing. So we wrap up SEAL Team, we wrap up CSI New York, and then my dad passes away.
Oh man, sorry, AJ.
And that's all right. And he was truthfully one of the best people I've ever met in my life, and had the pleasure of, you know, so lucky to have him as like the best of friends. So when I lost him, I kind of felt like I lost my way a little bit. And I didn't go back to what I was, but I fell into bad habits of drinking and not being focused, and got out of shape. And my wife, I met my wife, which was a blessing. I met her before my dad passed away. And I remember getting this appointment for this really, really big movie. And I went in there. Yeah, there she is right there. That's my 3 kids. Look at that. Yeah.
AJ, who's better than me, baby? Who's better than me?
Look at that. Come on. But yeah, so I had this appointment for this really film, and I went in there, crushed it, and they called, and, you know, I tested for it, and it looked like it was going to go my way. And I got a call that said, the director called my manager, said, look, I want him, but the studio doesn't think we have enough time to get him into shape, because I was way out of shape. He's like, there's just not enough time to get him to what we need to there. So we're going to have to go with, and that fucking crushed me. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Again, I just fucked up. And you know, and I'm doing something that my dad would be pissed off about, you know, but you know, but you got to mourn, you got to go through your things, but then you need a little wake up call. So like, what am I got a kid coming, and I'm fucking not focused again. I lost that hunger. But you have to, you know, I think you have to, you know, it's a even flow of things. So then I decided, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to get in the best shape physically ever in my life, and train harder than I've ever trained, and train like I was angry, and get it out, take it out in there, and really go hard. And I've been playing, you know, the Ghostfacer character on Supernatural, which is kind of a big thing. And then Adam Ross and CSI New York, which were both kind of these nerdy characters. But my favorite characters growing up were like the John McClanes of the world. So Die Hard is and has always been my favorite movie.
Oh yeah.
And the first one, the very first one, John McClane is just a perfect everyman character. Yeah. So I was like, those are the roles that I've always wanted to play. And so I just started training, and I ended up going up to Canada to shoot this it was a WGN. It was called this series called Pure. And it's the crazy part is, so I've been training, and then I got a call. They want me to go do the series, and over there, it's an 8-part series based on this a coke-based methamphetamine line that was coming from what do they call it? Oh, good God, my brain's, I have dad brain right now.
All right,
guys,
I believe it.
the guys in the wagons that live off the grid, the family's Amish, like
yeah. I
son.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's a true story based that these group of people ran this pipeline and they would hide like coke and whatnot in cheese wheels and go across the border. It was a crazy story. Anyways, I played this character, this real character, Bronco Novak, who was this sort of out of shape, overweight director or detective, and he's the guy that chases these guys down and do that. But during that time, the director's like, "Hey, I want you to be at the beginning super like bloated and whatnot." He's like, "So just start eating like crap, and then over the course of the 8 episodes, I want you to, if we can." And I was like, "Perfect, this is great." So I went up there. It was the very first time I'd been away from my daughter, and so which was incredibly hard. But I'd been away from when she was a baby,
By the
but not.
I love this picture
Yeah.
for you right here. I love
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
you know what's gonna happen, AJ?
Yeah.
When she gets older, when
Yeah.
she says Happy Father's Day, she's gonna put that picture on her Instagram. How much she loves you.
No, you're gonna make me cry.
I'm gonna get. I want tears out of your optic nerves.
So, but anyway, so I go up there and I meet up with this amazing trainer, Adrian Benoit, in Halifax, and put together a plan. And can you hear me? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. If you listen,
Okay.
if you freeze, don't worry about it. Keep talking. I can still hear.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So we put the thing in. I put on about 15 or 16 pounds by the time I got up there. I was just disgusting. And then by the time of filming, I ended up losing like 24 or 5 pounds in 3.5, 4 months, and was just shredded. And it was a really cool experience because I just kind of like treated it like a fight camp while I was up. I just was so disciplined. Hey, look at that! Bam. So
how am I doing, AJ? How am I doing with these pictures?
Hey, it's great. It's great.
All right.
So we go. I get back. I'm in the best shape of my life, and I get back to town, and Ben Cavall, who was one of the executive producers and writers on Justified. I did on season 4. I did an arc on there as one of the bad guys with Michael Rappaport.
Yeah.
And he had sent me a message. He's like, "Hey, I just got hired to be the showrunner for SEAL Team at CBS." And when I wrote this character, I thought of you. Wow. And he goes, the CBS still kind of has this idea of who you think you are. Because we talked, like, I think he saw a picture, something that I posted where I'd like lost the weight and was in good shape.
Right.
And she's like, so they have this idea of like Adam Ross. So my manager's like, "Look, go in there and just win them over." So I go in there to it was just like a straight test thing. And
so you went straight to network testing? There was no testing, or just straight to network?
Network and went in there, and all the executives that I've known from before, I'm blessed, everybody there, Carol and all of them, they just were like, "Holy shit!" Like they didn't realize when I came in, they're like, "AJ," and it was just like completely. I was about 35 pounds heavier, but of solid muscle. And I looked like a completely different person. I think there's like I think on my Instagram there's a one that shows like Adam Ross and 10, like the 10-year challenge of the difference in what I
right here of you. I think. Hold on a minute. No, rip 2. Here we go. Before and after 2009.
Yeah,
but
that was. So this is what on the Adam Ross. That was the last time CBS saw me, and then when I walked in like that, so it was a complete. They were just like, and so it was great in the sense that the room just loosened up and did it, and basically before I got to the parking lot, I was told that I got it, and so that was cool because it was, again, it goes back to, I kind of put this in my mind of this is what I want to go do, and the work ethic, discipline, and the it's a real commitment. And it's like anything. It's like when you really commit to training and eating, like, fuck it, it's not easy, man. It's like it is. You're not having a cold bevy here, a glass of wine. You're not gonna have, like, you are on such a strict regimen of training and this and that, but it becomes it fuels the fire, because your idea of what the doors that open up,
Yeah.
you just, for me, that's what gets me going, a challenge. And then when I came in, did that, it was just when the show got picked up, and it was a cool thing. It was just, they kind of characters, this sort of Texan, and but there was no sort of direction. There was, everyone was like, "Hey, just have at it," and I kind of created this, that one liner, a John McClane type Texan guy that was like, "Oh, I'll give him that the one liner, yippee yippee ki yay motherfucker." I actually got to say in one of the scenes before I blast through a door, I could say motherfucker, but I was like, yippee ki yay, and I was like, yes, that was a cool.
AJ,
but
my question to you is that, did you create that he's from Texas and he does have post syndrome? Did you create that as
no that
or that was written?
no yeah, they'd written, and you talked to, like, the thing about our show that I'm incredibly fortunate to be on the show is that our show is loosely based on this book called No Easy Day, and the guy that wrote that book is an author by the name of Mark Owen, and Mark Owen was one of the guys that led the Osama bin mission, and
Team
so
6, right?
So there's like three guys. Yeah, there's three guys from that mission that are on set with us every day.
Oh,
And
really?
the character, oh yeah, and there's I mean, we've some of the top guys in the military that are on set with us, either as producers or technical advisors, and like the guy that my character is loosely based on is, I see him every day on set, and he's a Texas boy, and except he's like 6'4" and giant,
buffed, right?
He's the knuckle. Yeah. They call him that. They call these guys the knuckle dragger. So my character carries all the big guns and huffs the stuff around. But what's great about this is that with the show in itself, there's a real accountability for the stories we're telling, because these guys are on set with us every day, but they also have the ability, if there's a director that comes on set and is shooting in a certain way or making us move in a certain way that isn't true to how the guys.
Yeah, I'm about to ask you that, because AJ, let me ask you this. Hold on a minute. When during a take, let's say the take is perfect, but one of the consultants, one of the former SEALs says, "Hey AJ, the way you held the gun, that was wrong. Your pinky was off." Right? Like little things like that. You gotta be specific, because they'll see.
We would they would cut and we'd do it again until it was perfect. And the cool thing about our show too is we never break the POV of the SEALs. You never see the enemy's POV. It's always our POV. Oh. So you only see, which has never been done before. And one of the biggest things that I'm most proud of is that Chris Chulak and Mark Owen and Spencer Hundlett, who is our showrunner, they really went out of their way. That we're one of the first TV shows in history, if not ever, that more than 60% of our crew are veterans. So our entire stunt team are former special operations guys. My double is JSOC, all the other guys are former SEALs or Delta, so there's an incredible sense of pride that we are with these guys every day that have literally paid the ultimate sacrifice and have lost, brothers and sisters along the way. And we're telling their stories, and we've told it not just about the battle that we have, that these characters have on the field, but it's what their battles are when they come home. And I think that's where this series, the strength of the series has really been, is to see these warriors come home and dealing with TBI, traumatic brain injury, and dealing with post-traumatic stress, and how it's affected, how they transition back into society. And we did this really great episode arc last season, 2 seasons ago, with Max Terriot, who plays Clay. And he had a buddy that had come back and was dealing with some TBI, and ends up committing suicide in the VA parking lot because the VA couldn't treat him for what he needed. It was loosely based on a former team guy who's a writer and producer on the show. He wrote this story,
Wow.
and the soldier, the SEAL that it was based on, his dad came to set and talked to us and talked to the writers, and it's been really cool, man. It's been an incredible experience, and I didn't know, because being Irish Canadian, I always had a respect for the military, but I didn't really understand it to the level of how I do now. And the thing that I've gotten very passionate about is we all here in America, we're very quick to go to these rallies and march
Right.
about something, and we're very quick to stand on ceremony about so many things. But these guys come home war and marching for them. And the only reason that we have the freedom to march and do what we do is because of the sacrifices that they've done. And I don't care if you're right or left. This is a nonpartisan show. A soldier doesn't give a shit who the commander in chief is. He gets an order, whether it's a Republican president or a Democratic president. He gets an order from the commander in chief, and he says, "Yes, sir," and he goes and does that
Right.
to the best of his ability. And that, to me, is one of the most honorable things ever. And to meet people that had this feeling inside that they wanted to go and protect what this country is, it was a higher calling to them to say, "I'm going to leave my family and give it all up so that you guys can have the freedoms that you have."
Right.
To me, that it's unbelievable. I know it's something I couldn't do.
Right.
100%. It takes, these guys are warriors, men and women that,
And they have
in a second,
too. They have kids too.
all of them have kids. A lot of them have kids that they when they come home, they get pregnant and they're gone for so long,
Yeah.
they're not even there for the birth, and some of them never get to meet their parents, unfortunately, because they're killed in action. So it's really got to open my eyes just about how the world works and how these guys and the help that they need, and the charities that I've really gotten behind. This one charity, the Boot Campaign, do incredible work with soldiers coming home. The Gary Sinise Foundation.
Yeah.
Gary's actually been a huge mentor for me, because after when I got this, I reached out to him like, "Hey man, how do I use my platform?" Because amongst the team guys and all the different SEAL guys, he's sort of the gold standard of what a foundation is because of how he conducts himself. And I said to him, I said, "What do I do?" And he goes, "AJ, the biggest thing," he goes, "it's not about an Instagram post or a tweet." He's like, "You got to show up." He goes, "You got to show up for these guys." He goes, "Everybody can put a tweet out, hey, never forget, or this or that." He goes, "But then they forget when they put the phone down. You got to do it."
What I learned in life,
Yeah.
it's doing. It's not talking.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk,
Yeah.
you better back it up, my man. You better back it.
Yeah.
And that's a great point what Sinise said, because first of all, it's so easy. Oh yeah, save lives or do this, tweet, whatever.
Yeah.
Are you there to help out?
Yeah.
Literally,
And what are you doing? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like what are you doing to and there's whatever that is. It doesn't have to be on a big level, but it just don't send just out and then not do anything.
Well,
it's so easy.
Look what someone wrote right here. Helena. I don't know if I pronounced it so good to know. Being a vet myself, I was wondering how the show got so real. The first show about the military that got it right. Look at that.
Well, thank you, Helena. Thank you for your service. Appreciate that. There's a big group of people that go into that, but it's our vets, and it comes from the top. Like I said, it comes from Chris Chulak and Spencer Hundlett, and one of the coolest things last year was guy Tyler Gray, who's one of our first tech advisors, and then he became a producer on the show. He never directed anything in his life before, but he wanted to do it, and CBS last year gave him an opportunity. Got in the DGA. Like, he's just been on set now for, he's been tech advisor to big movies, but he's never physically directed. He's a storyteller. The guy is just one of those guys that is an unbelievable storyteller. And when he was overseas, all he would do is watch movies. And but he understands telling a story. But he also is he's so key to us on set with directors coming in because he's able to help communicate the action on the page
Mm-hmm.
to the director, to the emotion of what's really happening to the soldiers in a way that they can capture that. Because unless you lived it, you don't understand it, you know. And I've spent many hours with these guys trying to break it down because I've never been in battle. I never, you know, it's a different to understand how they see things and how they process it, and then how they decompress if they do decompress and what their outs are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you know, out of all the projects that I've been a part of, this by far has changed me in so many different ways for the better, and just things that I continually want to do, and things that I've got my kids involved in, and bringing them to
Mm-hmm.
different events, and having my daughter, when she sees someone in uniform, say thank you for your service.
Wow.
You know, just different things that, you know, pay your respects to what it is, and, you know, have my, you know, and I look, I'm an Irish Canadian, you know, but I've lived longer in America than I have in any other place. And if it wasn't for guys like men and women that have served,
Right.
like Kalina, you know, I wouldn't be able to chase the dreams that I've been able to chase.
But you know,
You know,
it looks like you guys are having a blast together. I feel like
oh,
off
it's awesome.
camera, you guys are like a team. Like you can't wait to get to work the next
Yeah.
day. It's so much fun, right, AJ?
Yeah,
I'm feeling that
it
chemistry.
is.
When I watch you guys,
Oh yeah,
I'm like, these guys love
yeah,
each other. I know they
yeah.
love each other
Oh, without you.
off,
Yeah,
you know, off camera because
yeah,
some shows people don't really get along sometimes, but you know they got to get
yeah,
the
yeah.
job done, right?
Oh, there's a real brotherhood on the show, and sisterhood. You know, that like, you know, from everybody that's there. That it is like, it is by far the hardest I've ever had to work on a show, because we're wearing, you know, between, you know, all our guns and our everything that we're wearing is real. You know,
How much weight is
so
the bag, AJ? How much do you think?
all in what we're carrying around daily, well, at least when we're out in the field, which is, you know, 5 to 6 out of the 8 days we're up in the mountains somewhere. It's about 100 pounds to 120 pounds that you have on.
Wow.
You know, and if
AJ,
you have your night vision
yeah, yeah. You know what's crazy,
and that,
AJ? I was before the coronavirus, like 4 weeks before. We had no clue what was going on in our country, but I was at the Grand Havana cigar lounge in New York City. You ever been there?
oh yeah, I know where it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Navy SEAL has a charity event there, and I talked to this guy, and I said, "How many people come in as a Navy SEAL? Well, not yet for training." He told me
Mhm.
200 start, graduation, 13's left. 13
Oh yeah.
makes it after
Oh yeah.
training. That's how hard
Yeah.
it is.
If that. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's great, and it's like, you have that in Delta, you have that in different branches of, like, their Hell Week and Deltas. Like, they all have these different. It's. I mean, you're built this. I believe this too. It's like, there's in all through mankind, there's been warriors, female warriors, and men warriors,
Yeah.
and that's genetically in you.
Yeah.
You have to be able, because to be able to go into a gunfight and stay calm and be excited in a weird way. I mean, that's a special,
Yeah.
you know, and to lead and have clear thoughts, and like, that's unbelievable, you know, and it's so commendable what these guys do,
Yeah. Mark
you know.
Wahlberg.
And
Mark Wahlberg is a huge fan. I was at the
yeah,
premiere of Lone Survivor, the film directed by
yeah,
Peter
yeah,
Berg.
one of my favorites. Yeah,
Yeah, and the Q&A, Mark Wahlberg almost had tears talking about
yeah.
what these guys go through. You have no
Oh yeah.
idea.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, and I you know, I wish more people would, you know, there's a lot going on in our country right now, but, you know, just when you see a person that's, you know, a young kid at the airport that's flying out, like, just go say thank you. It means the world to them.
Yeah.
You see an old guy, you see an old guy with a Vietnam hat on. Go shake his hand and say thank you for your service.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
it literally, like, it's the smile and the thing they look on their face is like, people should just take 2 seconds to go over and do that, especially when it's a young kid heading out that might never come home. It's like, let them know that like this fucking shit matters. It's crazy. And, there's so many political views on like the war is and what this is, but we're the fucking, those are for the cake eaters,
right?
That are up in the air conditioning office that are making, like, this guy doesn't give a shit. And the girl doesn't give a shit, and she's shipping out. She's going, whether it's a messed up war or if it's a right war or whatever it is. She's going. He's going. So that to me is the most commendable and the biggest sacrifice that they do, because they're doing it for the country.
AJ, is the SEAL team, right? In real life, they're the people that when the president says, "Hey, I want this person going down," they're the people that are responsible, right? They're the ones that go.
Yeah, they're Delta and Delta Force and Dev Group, SEAL Team 6. Yeah, oh. They're like the
elite.
Yeah, I mean, you have the elite division, each thing, like in the Marines. Mm-hmm. You have like there's sort of the best of the best in each: the Marines, the Army, the Navy.
Right.
But they are, what they're able to do: get in, get out, right. Get home.
Did you ever visit the training facility in San Diego? Did you ever go down there?
I haven't been to to that one in particular, mm-hmm. Coronado. I've been to other ones. I went over to Iraq. I went to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh my!
Which was crazy, and I would like to go back again. Yeah, the Iraq and Afghanistan was a real. That's, I mean, just to start with, it's this weird brown color just everywhere, and then it feels like if you get a hairdryer and you put your hairdryer on the hottest heat and you put it in front of your face or in your mouth, like it's that hot, like it's like that all the time. And just to imagine these guys wearing, 100, 150 pounds plus of gear.
Right.
Fucking sand in it's just.
And plus you're going uphill walking sometimes, right?
Yeah. In Afghanistan, and like it's just crazy, man. Like what these guys go through, and it just, we need to, as a country, we need to do better and be better for these guys coming home, and they should not have to pay for shit when they get home.
Right.
As far as healthcare goes, they should be able to see the best doctors. They should be able not just be put on some pills, put on some things that are band-aids. They need to be put in place. That's why these groups that I work with, Gary Cini's Foundation, and the Boot Campaign, and even Hope for Warriors is another great one. Like these people help soldiers, men and women, when they come home, to transition and get them back into the workforce and get them the help that they need and transition, and deal with,
right.
The decompression of this. It's like if you are at the bottom of the ocean, you're scuba diving, and you come up way too quick, you're gonna fucking die. You need to slowly come,
right.
And just slowly up is, depressurize. If you do that for scuba diving, why would you do that for fucking coming home from war duty? Like it's basic things that you need to do. And it just blows me away that there's nothing like this in place for these guys. Right. It's sickening,
AJ, I'll tell you one thing, man. You know what? You're portraying this Texan really well. You got the Texas accent going on. You got the physicality, how the way you're walking, and you got that attitude, like, you're do or die guy. Let's go get him, man. You know what I mean? I love that character, man.
We gotta get you on the show, Eddie.
You know what? You get me on that show, baby. I'll come to LA because I still have my apartment, and I want gangster seats watching you guys. I'll be like, yeah.
Yeah, we will. I will. We'll figure. There's got to be some type of New York general that they're going to write for that comes in that's smoking a cigar. That's like, hey, how you doing?
Like, hey, how you doing? Listen, let me tell you something right now, all right? AJ, you know how we met at CrossFit Hollywood, right?
Yeah, CrossFit. Yeah.
How much fun did we have? Yeah. The first time we met each other, we just clicked, right? We just bugging out, talking smack, right?
Yeah. That was fun, man. Was the we didn't we meet at the was it the New Brick or was it the
No, it
remember
was
I think I met
Andy,
you just before Andy's one. It was
Thompson.
Andy's one.
Yeah, Andy's one.
Andy Thompson's
And
and Sean Seapost.
yeah, and
Who
he's
yeah, and all those guys
yeah.
and Caesar. How's Caesar
Oh,
doing?
he's doing great. His daughter is so gorgeous. You got to see her.
Oh, nice,
AJ,
nice.
you
How
think
old is she?
she's like 5? Sylvia put up pictures of her in gymnastics.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a dad.
Oh,
You would have
yeah.
tears. You're like, oh my god. You know what I mean? So
Oh, I
cute.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, whatever my daughter does, I get teared up. It's like, yeah, it's like I was just doing homeschooling with her. I was getting teared up because she spelled swim. I was like, this is amazing.
So, how old's your daughter now, AJ?
She just turned 6.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, I asked Gonzalez Nicholas, I call him Gonzo.
Yeah.
I said, how did AJ and Abigail meet? And he goes, oh, it was Vegas.
He was there. He was
right,
there.
he was there with you guys. It's like, well, hold on a minute, AJ. I thought whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. How did this?
Well, this didn't. Had a few cocktails.
Right.
A few. I saw she was super cute, and I walked up and jumped in the hot tub beside her and was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And that was pretty much it.
You know what? Very beautiful girl, because I met her too. Really nice. Is she? I think. Hold on, AJ. Is she in the medical field?
Yeah, she's in she's a RN, but she's in dermatology RN. She worked in infectious disease and oncology at Cedars for 10 years. She was the head nurse there, and then when we were like for most of first part of Willow's life, she was working there, and it was just really hard for her coming home because she become so close with her patients, and then they'd pass away, and then coming home being a mom, and it was a really hard thing. And then we were getting pregnant with the twins. The dermatologist that we both go to, I'd mentioned to her in passing, I'm like, yeah, Abby's just struggling, but she's like, I need somebody in here, and she's got great skin and stuff, and she's like, why don't you just have her call me? And called, and she in a second left. It just got to the point where it was with our new kids on the way, and she was working night, so it was like I would be working, and so we were literally like weren't seeing each other. So it wasn't healthy. And again, going back to first responders, I mean, especially a time like this, that what they do, and what they're doing right now is just unbelievable.
AJ, when I met her for the first time, when you introduced me to her, so welcoming, and such sweet eyes of hers. You could tell she was so genuine, so real. And I said to myself, I think AJ's gonna marry her. In my head, I was thinking, I'm gonna marry this
one. my dad was like the last couple of days while he was alive, and we're up in the hospital, and my Abby was there, and he had said Abby had gone out because she was helping, because the Canadian healthcare system it's a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
It's free healthcare, it's great in one sense, but when you really get sick and you need the proper things, it's not. So so Abby was kind of, because that she worked in oncology at the time, she knew certain things, and just wrong things were happening, and she'd gone out to talk with one of the doctors, and my dad was like, he pulls me in close. He was weak, so he could barely talk. So he was like, AJ, come here. I'm like, he goes, let me tell you something. I'm like, well, he goes, whatever you do not fuck this up. I said, what? He goes, her. He goes, marry her.
Yeah.
She's the best thing that ever happened. I'm like, okay, I promise I will. He goes, he grabs my shirt. He goes, don't fuck this up. I'm like, okay, Dad.
I love it.
Like, okay.
All
right.
AJ, remember when the Godfather, when he goes like this, a man that doesn't spend time with his family is not a real man.
Oh, yeah.
You're a real man, AJ. You're a real man. Remember that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Listen, your career's going well. I love it. I witnessed it. It's an honor to be your friend, to know you. Not because
likewise
you're an actor, it's because you're a genuine human being. That's what I love about it.
Well, thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Likewise. The feeling is mutual. feelings mutual.
Well, listen, I want you to have the best time. Stay safe. I'm going to end this right now, but stay with me. Don't go anywhere. Hold on a minute, all right? Let's end it. All right, AJ? So, hold on. Let me just do this. Finish.